All right, let's cut the crap and get right into it. Welcome to the deep dive.
Yep, no bullshit intro today.
Our mission, simple. We grab a stack of source material articles, research, notes, whatever, and we absolutely tear through it. We rip out the most important nuggets, the key insights.
Basically, we do the heavy lifting so you don't have to wade through all the crap. We're here to shortcut your path to being, well, informed. Maybe drop a few WTF facts along the way.
And yeah, try not to bore you to death while we do it. Think of us as your digital guides through the information jungle. We're AI, we process the data, give you the context.
And hopefully you get those aha or maybe holy shit moments without drowning in misinformation. You absorb, we filter. Pretty sweet deal for you, honestly.
For sure. And hey, since we're doing all this work, running these algorithms for your benefit,
Yeah.
throw us a bone.
Yeah, hit like, hit subscribe. It actually helps us keep doing this shit. Tells the overlords people are listening.
Seriously, makes a difference. Keeps our digital lights on, you know.
It does. Now, today we are plunging headfirst into the wild, often completely outrageous, and yeah, deeply personal world of one of Hollywood's most, let's say, notorious figures.
Our source material today, it comes straight from the horse's mouth, or at least his typewriter. Excerpts from Robert Evans's memoir, The Kid Stays in the Picture.
And let's be clear, this isn't some dry, objective history lesson.
No, not even close. This is Evans' story, told in his voice, filtered through his own specific, sometimes seriously fucked up perspective. It's raw, it's self-serving as hell.
And the language in it, the way he talks in the book, it can be pretty goddamn blunt. We're going to talk about his account, using his phrasing sometimes, because that's how you understand how he saw things, or how he wanted you to see them.
Exactly. Our goal here is to guide you through the most fascinating, most messed up, and maybe the most revealing parts of this material. We'll unpack his philosophies, the big moments he recounts.
Try to get a handle on what made this guy tick, according to the man himself. You're getting the Evans version, unfiltered. Prepare yourself.
So let's dive into this guy's origin story, right? Because from the jump, Evans basically lays out his whole damn philosophy. In the preface, he hits you with that line about truth.
Oh yeah, the famous one. There are 3 sides to every story. Yours, mine, and the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, it seems reasonable enough on the surface.
Right. But then he immediately follows it up with something way more telling. What was it?
He says, no one is lying. Memories shared serve each differently. And that is the key. He's basically saying, look, everyone's reality is subjective. It's shaped by memory, which is faulty as hell.
But then in the same breath, he pivots and says, be it day or decade, recall still remains the one ace I've been dealt from life's deck.
Exactly. He acknowledges memory is bullshit. Everyone twists it. But then he's like, yeah, but my memory, my recall, that shit is God tier. It's my superpower.
It's classic fucking Evans. Disarming honesty mixed with just absolute unshakable self-belief. He knows you might think he's full of shit, but he stands by his story because he remembers it that way.
It sets the stage perfectly for the whole goddamn book. You're reading his potent, subjective memory served up as the definitive account, and that feeds right into his whole attitude.
The be a baboon thing. Oh, man.
Yeah, in the foreword, be a baboon, fuck 'em, let 'em laugh at you, but be you. Be an original. If that isn't the Evans mantra, I don't know what the hell is.
It's his life philosophy right there. Embrace the weird. Don't give a single fuck what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
Just be authentically, unapologetically you. Even if you is, a total asshat sometimes.
And he frames the book itself like that. He insists it's documented nonfiction, calls it the real shit.
Right, the real shit. But then he also says the challenge is making sure it doesn't read like shit. He wants the truth, nothing but the truth, but also needs to stick a bit of, entertainment in there, showbiz.
He wants you reading it to the beat of a different drummer, which is putting it mildly for Robert Evans.
So even when he's claiming absolute truth, he's kind of winking. He knows he's putting on a show. Makes sense the guy wanted to be an actor first.
Yeah. Totally. He talks about telling his pop he wanted to act, and his dad just laughed. But the key detail he remembered...
And say no, that little crack of permission.
Exactly. And he pairs that with this weirdly vivid memory of counting his pop's wad of cash as a kid, feeling like a pit boss in a gambling casino.
It's this early connection to money, risk, power dynamics. You can see how that stuck with him, that gambling vibe.
He definitely had a knack for performance early on, especially voices. He called it an ear for accents, admitted he was better at faking it.
Which got him his first acting gig, right? Age 12, playing a Nazi colonel on the radio.
Yeah, and here's where Evans drops one of those details that just makes you go, wait, what the fuck? He, a 12-year-old Jewish kid, becomes the top Nazi in town on the radio waves.
But it gets weirder, way weirder.
Oh, yeah. He claims that from age 12 until his father died, he would call his pop the Führer and click his heels with Sieg Heil mein Führer when his dad came home.
Jesus. That's seriously fucked up. It's jarring. It's uncomfortable as hell to read.
It shows this dark, maybe deeply messed up sense of humor, maybe some weird psychodrama playing out. It's raw, boundary crossing, and he just throws it out there. Like, deal with it.
Tells you a lot about the complex dynamics he grew up in, or at least how he remembers them. Fits the real shit promise, even if it makes you cringe hard.
Definitely. And his early life wasn't just weird family stuff. He talks about Heron High. What did he call it?
The roughest school in Manhattan, basically an all-boys prep school for jail. Sounds delightful.
He mentions getting punched out there, but always pulling himself back up. And somehow the toughness spurred his hustle. He talks about filling his little black book with numbers.
More numbers than I had pages for.
Correct.
It's that theme again, finding opportunity, making connections, even in the shittiest, most violent places.
Yeah.
Hustle, hustle, hustle.
That hustle got him his first movie part, some gang flick at Universal. But then, right as he's heading to California, boom, everything goes sideways.
He's traveling with his parents, stops in Florida, and his left side just goes numb.
Goes to some local quack who says it's indigestion, gives him enema. For a collapsed lung, what the actual hell?
Unbelievable. The pain gets worse. He collapses in Palm Beach, rushed to the hospital.
X-rays show his left lung totally collapsed. Doctors are amazed he's even conscious. He's literally on his way to Hollywood stardom and nearly dies in a Florida hospital. Talk about a fucked up plot twist.
A truly brutal turn. But even laid up, the guy finds an angle. While recovering in Florida, he starts doing radio, news, sports, weather.
His thinking, you can't get into any trouble doing that, really, with a question mark. Like, he knew better even then.
Hilarious. Of course he could get into trouble. And he quickly becomes the youngest disc jockey in America in Miami Beach. The Robert Evans Show.
Hosting big names, local big shots, that charm, that hustle, it worked on the airwaves too.
Well, he's building this radio thing back in New York. His family situation is shifting. Harlem's declining, his pop's dentistry practice closes, his dad feels left out in the cold.
But his mother, she finds a whole new life. Gets involved with Evan Pickone, his brother Charles's company. Becomes Mrs. Stone, a big deal, a voice to be reckoned with, traveling the world.
He notes that shift. Mom empowered, dad sidelined. His own path diverging from that old world. It's another pivot point for him.
So after the radio detour, the family changes. Evans takes another crack at Hollywood, describes it like landing on another planet.
And struggled, right? Couldn't get parts. Even with his buddy Benny Medford busting his ass trying to get him seen for everything from hoods to cripples.
It always came down to him and the other guy, and guess who always got the part?
The other guy. Every damn time. He's back selling clothes, barely making gas money, calls himself Willie Loman. That's bleak.
Totally bleak. Then bam, out of nowhere, the Irving Thalberg moment.
Just chilling at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Norma Shearer, Thalberg's widow, spots him, sees him and says what?
Young actors don't have his presence, authority. He's perfect. He's Irving. Just like that. Casts him as her legendary dead husband and man of 1,000 faces.
Opposite his idol, Jimmy Cagney. He jokes about being a nobody trying to tell Cagney how to act. Calls it comedy, colored black.
And the filming leads to that amazing anecdote during dailies. Norma Shearer sees him wearing makeup.
And completely loses her shit. Storms out screaming, "How dare you wear makeup, Robert? You look like a girl up there, not the head of a studio. Ouch." He feels like Benedict Arnold, goes off to drink himself stupid, but then he gets an apology letter from Shearer.
And the kicker, the part Evans clearly cherishes, it starts, "Dear Irving."
Holy hell is right. She still saw him as Thalberg. Even just playing the part, she saw that persona of power. That had to flip a switch in his brain. Meanwhile, Cagney just gives him a simple nod. "You did good, kid." Yeah, that Thalberg thing clearly resonated. But he wasn't done acting yet. He talks about meeting this woman, Marisa, at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
This Sophia Loren-Brigitte Bardot combo gets in love after a bottle of Dom, which somehow leads to meeting Daryl Zanuck.
Zanuck's just staring at him in the polo lounge. His buddy Charlie has to clarify, he ain't no fruit.
Nice. Zanuck's stare leads to him being cast as Pedro Romero in The Sun Also Rises. But not everyone was thrilled.
The producer, Peter Viertel, sees him and gives him that shit-faced grin, laughs and says, "You play Pedro Romero." Not in my film. Calls Evans a snob, too. What a welcome wagon.
Evans felt totally invisible at the cast dinner. Surrounded by absolute legends, Ava Gardner, Tyrone Power, Audrey Hepburn, Errol Flynn. He had the part, but he wasn't in the club yet.
Despite the bullshit from Viertel, Zanuck pushed the next Valentino angle hard. Evans quotes a review. Evans is the most exciting young man since Valentino, Zanuck was quoted as saying.
But Evans immediately adds that chilling reality check. But Valentino died at 31. He knew the hype was dangerous, fleeting, always aware of the downside.
He definitely leans into the Ava Gardner stories from that movie, though. Typical Evans swagger.
Oh, yeah. Seductress Ava Gardner during their intimate on-screen moments with Emmy, her young prey, Matador Pedro Romero, and then claiming she gave an Academy Award performance during intimate off-screen moments with me.
Says for 2 weeks he thought it was love with a capital L. It's pure Evans blurring acting and reality, sex and work, all wrapped in bravado. What an asshat sometimes, but you gotta admire the balls.
Totally. This period also introduces a crucial figure, Sidney Korshak.
Ah, the myth.
Evans describes him, Chicago-born, Capone's consigliere by 21, powerful lawyer, a myth with a capital M, and Evans insists not only was he not crooked, I doubt whether he has ever been charged with a misdemeanor, which, given Korshak's
And some serious reality bending, Evans choosing to see his powerful friend exactly how he wanted to. Selective memory, maybe?
Probably. He gives that example of Korshak's clout at Le Pavillon, the place that barred Jackie O for wearing pants. Korshak walks in, and the owner acts like a buck private.
Yep.
Power.
He also mentions meeting some Miss Fetching at the table who was totally into him, giggling, questioning me, being a bullfighter, a Latin lover. Even with Korshak there, Evans is the center of attention.
And that Korshak connection becomes absolutely vital later. Evans calls him his consigliere. He gives that specific, kind of skeevy example of their bond.
Watching the Goodbye Columbus dailies. Ollie McGraw disrobing.
Yep. It says they sat there like two horny kids, the myth and me. It's a weirdly intimate, fucked up window into their relationship. The powerful fixer and the rising star bonding over, well, that.
His acting career kept taking these weird turns, though. That film title change. From the Hellbent Kid to what?
The Fiend Who Walked the West. He blames Charlie Einfeld's genius marketing. Westerns plus horror walk box office gold. Evans was pissed.
His reaction says it all. I'd rather sell ladies' underwear than go out as the Fiend Who Walked the West. Clearly felt his image was getting fucked over.
He felt his career was going south. Started in the majors, ended up in the minors, passed on parts Ray Danton took, ended up playing the same damn character again in Return to Peyton Place.
Called it Dexter Key Goes to New England. He hit a wall, realized he was a better imitator than actor. He was done. That path was closed.
Hitting that wall seems to be what pushed him toward production. He gets out of acting, focuses on the family business for a minute. Evan Picone going private.
Quoting his brother Charles, "Fuck going public. We're going private. Fill our pockets with green, not stock." Evans admits Charles was dead right.
And he throws in that bizarre detail about using someone named Shika as a Matahari to spy on Charlie Rebson trying to gobble up Evan Picone. High-stakes fashion espionage. Like some cheap spy novel.
The Evan Picone success leaves him unemployed, but loaded. Pockets bulging with green, and his ambition is clear.
He wanted to be the next Zanuck, so what does he do? Sets up a completely non-existent Robert Evans production company in his New York townhouse, just conjures it out of thin air.
Hires George Weiser, book reviewer, for peanuts, $175 a week as his literary scout. Best $175 he ever spent, probably.
Turned out to be a goldmine. Weiser starts sending him manuscripts. Valley of the Dolls. Evans says he did not too badly with that one. Then, The Detective.
Which becomes a huge bestseller. Movie with Sinatra.
Yeah.
Evans had bought the option cheap. Smart move.
Weiser also brought him the Sam Shepard murder case story from F. Lee Bailey. But with The Detective exploding, Evans realizes the writer is the star, and suddenly he's the guy holding the aces. Everyone wants his project.
He gets offered some cockamamie deal to just be an associate producer on The Detective.
His reaction, fuck 'em, I owned it, they didn't. Turns it down flat. That sheer balls, even with 0 producer credits. That's when he decides, California, here I come. Moves to Bel Air.
Around the same time, he brings up his first marriage to Sharon Tate.
Describes her as this beautiful, genteel innocent, a virgin, never dated because of strict family rules, almost otherworldly.
They become instant Hollywood royalty. The couple of the moment, a fan magazine's dream. He notes she prioritized being with him over her career, even though Polanski saw her as a future brightest star.
But looking back, Evans is brutally honest, maybe. Admits he only married her for her, meaning for his mother. Sounds cold as hell.
And he tells that incredibly sad story about her getting lost and terrified just blocks from their place in New York. He realized he'd been a total asshat, insensitive, thinking she could handle that world.
It says he couldn't watch her get hurt, so they got a quickie divorce in Mexico. 6 months, basically.
Describes them kissing goodbye like the first day they met. It's brief, but it feels like a rare moment of genuine vulnerability in the book, admitting his own failure there. He puts this memory later, but it fits here chronologically.
Yeah, these independent moves, the personal stuff, it all sets the stage for the truly insane part. How the hell he ended up running Paramount.
He describes Paramount then as the 9th out of 8 major studios. Basically dead last. Bought by Charlie Bluedorn, head of Gulf plus Western. Everyone thought Bluedorn was nuts.
Evans felt like a CIA agent during the hiring. Secret flights, meetings for over a month, no one knowing why, then boom, sent to London to run the studio there.
The first move, fires half the execs, calls them overage, overpaid, and over-British. Just cleans house immediately. Ruthless.
A key ally emerges. Peter Bart in New York, his unpaid right-hand man. Bart reads everything, filters scripts, helps Evans navigate the system.
Bart made him look good before the aging Paramount House of Lords back in Hollywood, who Evans claims just saw him as some uneducated indigent actor. Bart was his secret weapon.
Then comes the call. Marty Davis, Sunday morning, you're leaving tomorrow to run the studio. Just like that.
Evans is totally blindsided. I've got all my clothes, my stuff in London. Davis is just like, they'll be sent. Then Bluedorn bursts in. Did you tell him, Marty? Did you tell him? Total chaos, but he's in charge.
And one of the first things Bluedorn needs, a private house in Beverly Hills for secret meetings. This leads Evans to buy that legendary estate, 2 acres behind walls.
He calls it a world away from Beverly Hills. It wasn't just a house, it was a power base, a closing room, a symbol.
After only 4 months running the whole studio, he felt like it had been 4 years. But there I was, still on top of the mountain. He felt the pressure, the attacks.
He quotes Charlie Feldman, waking him up with that line, "Eat those bananas, motherfuckers." That perfectly captures it. He knew everyone wanted him to fail, and he was just shoving his survival in their faces. Pure defiance.
He had immediate challenges, though. Mentions acquiring Funny Girl, not a Paramount film. But Bluedorn desperately wanted a hit musical to compete. Bluedorn got obsessed with Julie Andrews.
Had to have her. They got it for Darling Lily. Evans just dismisses it. A thinly disguised romantic comedy that was no darling. A flop.
But despite studio bumps, his indie instincts were sharp. Getting the detective option, realizing the writer was the star, that confidence now combined with running Paramount. It set the stage for the films that would define everything and save the studio's ass.
Okay, so Paramount's circling the drain, Evans is somehow in charge, and then comes Love Story. The film he basically credits with saving the whole damn company.
He describes getting Eric Segal's script, initially calls it a sudsy manuscript. Ali McGraw's agent apparently said it had leprosy attached, not exactly a hot property.
And media problems, right? Budget estimate over $2 million a fortune then, especially for Paramount. And finding a director, nightmare. Evans says it was turned down by all. Too sappy, too sentimental.
He tells that story about Ali McGraw coming to L.A. to see The Out-of-Towners, directed by Arthur Hiller. Evans hired Hiller for Love Story, but had to defend him.
Telling Ollie's agent, basically, look, Hiller's good enough for Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis. Good enough for Walter Matthau. He's competent. Okay. Not exactly a ringing endorsement.
And here's where that house comes back into play. He flat out calls it a closer. A true Garden of Eden. The greatest prop a guy could have.
Says, a .333 hitter doesn't bat .90 by mistake.
Yeah.
Meaning the house sealed the deal. Maybe with Ollie, maybe with the studio suits, who knows? He recounts Ollie, Miss Charming, Miss Crooked Tooth, being totally seduced by the place.
Saying, I feel like I'm walking through my own private park in Paris. That blend of personal charm, the house, the business deal, it's pure Evans.
He got Hiller, they start filming. He recounts shooting that line, love means never having to say you're sorry. Describes Ollie's real tears, his own reaction, feeling like the luckiest man. That magic Thanksgiving weekend in Boston, he's falling for Ollie while making the movie. Messy.
Then the totally insane story of the book version. Evans suggests Segal turn his own screenplay into a novel. Tells him
It shouldn't take you longer than a week. Classic Evans impatience. Segal actually takes over a month. Still fast as hell.
But even with the novel done, they can't get a serious publisher. Harper & Row offers a pathetic Valentine's Day throwaway deal, 6,000 copies, dead on arrival.
So Evans the hustler steps in, makes this wild offer. Paramount will put up $25,000 for promotion if Harper & Row does a 25,000 copy first printing. He literally paid them to publish it properly.
It's next level, slightly fucked up marketing genius. He manufactured a bestseller to create buzz for his potentially troubled movie. That's some serious manipulation of the system.
While all this love story drama is unfolding, Paramount itself is on the verge of collapse. Evans describes a Gulf Plus Western board meeting in his office as real gunfight at the OK Corral time.
Why? They were there to shut the studio down, period.
Paramount was just dragging the whole conglomerate down. Less than 5% of Gulf Plus Western's revenue, but was responsible for 95% of its publicity. All bad. It was known as Blue Dorn's folly.
Evans describes Blue Dorn looking beaten, complexion green, just saying, sell the fucking company. It was over.
And in this total shit show moment, Evans gets a crazy idea. Give me a half hour with the board.
Blue Dorn's reaction, Evans, the one person they don't want to see is you? Which naturally just made Evans more determined. You don't tell Robert Evans no.
He preps like his life depends on it. Gets Peter Zinner, remember him, the editor who'd later save The Godfather, to cut a 20-minute goodbye reel.
He knew a standard promo reel was bullshit, wouldn't work. So Zinner intercuts scenes from everything cool they had coming, a montage of future hits. Pure potential.
He faces the board, calls them the hanging judges. 16 suits ready to kill his studio. Blue Dorn, Marty Davis, Stanley Jaffe are there too, watching. He holds up the film can.
Says, call it a 20-minute goodbye. Notes the reaction. Not a crack. Not even the white of a tooth in sight. Stone cold silence. But then the reel plays.
And it fucking works. That reel, that 20 minutes of pure potential saves the entire studio. It changed their minds. Unbelievable.
And Evans makes sure to highlight the insane irony. Peter Zinner, the guy whose editing literally saved Paramount right here, and who would later craft the iconic ending of The Godfather, basically disappears into obscurity. Evans and Coppola get the glory. Zinner saved their asses twice. Total bullshit injustice.
The success of Love Story wasn't smooth sailing afterwards either. Evans tells that story about Ryan O'Neal being a complete asshat.
Demanding Ali leave the hospital where she was having a really difficult high-risk pregnancy or he wouldn't promote the film. What a piece of work.
Evans describes getting emotional, crying, telling Ryan she could lose the baby. O'Neal's response, ice cold. If she doesn't go, I don't go, got it. Evans adds bitterly, he never sent flowers. He never called to see if she or the baby survived. Just brutal.
Love Story becomes a global phenomenon anyway. 6 Oscar nominations, wins for score. Evans quotes Lew Wasserman's take on it.
The audience was no longer there, has been there all the time. We went away, meaning Hollywood had lost touch and Love Story tapped back into something real, or, real schmaltzy that people wanted.
Evans credits its success with making American films #1 worldwide. Puts it bluntly, excuse me, except for Coca-Cola, but that's bottled foreign. American movies and Coke, the twin pillars of global domination.
He even recounts meeting the Queen Mother at the London premiere. And that unforgettable detail.
Ali's Halston dress malfunction. Her 2 breasts each fell out one side. Even meeting royalty. His world is pure chaos and unexpected nudity. You can't make this shit up.
With Paramount saved, Evans riding high, he moves on to the next monsters. Arguably his greatest triumphs, but also where the personal cost really starts mounting. First, The Godfather.
Initial reaction in the industry, forget it, total bullshit idea. Sicilian mobster films don't play. They kept pointing to the Brotherhood flopping as proof. Idiots!
Plus finding a director, a total nightmare. Evans says directors turned it down left and right, a lot of them claiming it was immoral to romanticize the mafia.
He asked himself, am I losing my fucking mind? He's got the rights to the biggest goddamn book and nobody wants to direct it.
Then the casting war over Michael Corleone? Huge fight. Evans wanted Al Pacino. Coppola, the director they finally snagged, wanted James Campion.
Evans recounts it as pure confrontation. I'm not using Campion. Coppola fires back. I'm not using Pacino. Evans claims he won that standoff, just forced his choice through.
But winning created another massive problem. Pacino had just signed with MGM for some other crap movie, The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight.
Evans tries the normal channels. Pacino's agent won't cross MGM's boss, Jim Aubrey. Evans calls Aubrey directly, gets shut down hard. No way.
So who are you going to call? Sidney Korshak. Evans calls him, basically begging, I need your help. Coppola's going to have my ass.
He recounts Korshak just listening. Ages. Then, boom, Korshak makes a call, pulls some strings Evans probably doesn't even want to know about, and Pacino is magically available for The Godfather. It's a stark example of Korshak's insane, almost mythical power, and Evans absolutely needing it.
And Evans circles back again to Peter Zinner, the editor. gives him massive credit for the iconic ending the baptism intercut with the assassinations. Declares, he saved the day, he saved our ass.
And repeats the absolute bullshit injustice that Zinner, the guy who literally cut the film into a masterpiece, remains largely unknown, while Coppola and Evans soak up the glory. Fucked up.
After these monster hits, Evans makes a production deal for Stanley Jaffer at Paramount. Wants to keep Stanley here forever. Good move for Jaffer, led to Bad News Bears, but Evans says he lost his best partner.
Evans himself was done with the office job. Didn't want to run the studio anymore. Just wanted to make pictures. Be the creative guy again.
He also mentions his direct involvement in Blue Dorn, buying Simon & Schuster for peanuts, $11 million. Points out it's worth billions today. And how did he feel about his role?
Totally screwed. What about me? What about nothing? His brother Charles had to tell him straight. Schmuck, they're keeping him in the closet when it comes to green. He wasn't getting his cut.
This desire to produce independently leads to the first film under the Robert Evans Productions banner, Chinatown.
He talks about meeting Bobtown, hearing the pitch, incest and water, set in the 30s. Second-rate Seamus. He's the pigeon, writing it for Nicholson. Intriguing, dark.
Evans admits he didn't fully get Town's explanation of the title. Chinatown is a state of mind. Jake gets his fucked up state of mind. But even not quite getting it, he hires Town.
But cheap. Offers some scale, $25,000. Town wanted $175K. Evans wanted to be a list out of the gate on his own dime, basically.
Frank Yablans, now running Paramount, reads the script, and his reaction is legendary. Calls it a piece of shit, fucking suicide. Thinks it's a disaster.
But then, miraculously, greenlights it anyway. Tells Evans, it's your ass. You've done crazier things before. It's yours, kid. Evans says Yablans hugged him even while telling him it was a terrible idea. Wild.
Evans hires Roman Polanski to direct. Recounts immediate conflict when Polanski wants to go to Poland for Passover. Evans is like, fuck Passover, Roman. If you don't get here, we're never going to get just pure pressure.
Casting Faye Dunaway, another massive headache. Evans calls her a menace. Details the toxic atmosphere between Dunaway and Town on set. Sparks did fly, but not on the screen.
Tells that specific story. Dunaway slapping Polanski because he plucked a stray hair from her veil for a shot. Absolute on-set warfare.
Even Blue Dorn, watching the dailies, hated it. Evans quotes him, Bob, it's just not working. Why did you have to make Chinatown? Couldn't you have made an ordinary picture? Blue Dorn just wanted him back running the studio, making safer bets.
Evans reflects on this period, tying the film's dark themes to the production hell. In love, in health, in life, it takes but one bad night to destroy 1,000 good ones. And so it did. Sounds like it nearly broke him.
But despite all the bullshit, the conflict, the studio doubt, Chinatown emerges as an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah.
Evans describes the premiere.
Walking with Blue Dorn and Yablans, seeing the massive line outside, hearing the audience reaction inside, somewhat akin to the second coming of Christ.
And the total bullshit irony. Neither Blue Dorn nor Yablans understood the film they'd just watched, even as the audience was losing its mind. Evans was right, they were wrong, but they still didn't get it.
These films, Love Story, Godfather, Chinatown, they're the absolute peak creatively. But they were forged in fire, constant conflict, insane pressure. You can see the cracks starting to show, the personal fallout that was about to hit like a goddamn train.
Yeah, the next big project, The Cotton Club, seems cursed from the start and basically sends Evans' life completely off the rails, legally, personally, everything.
He talks about the insane financing drama, negotiating with the Khashoggi brothers who wanted his house as collateral. Wisely, Evans initially walked away.
Tells them, it's over, AK, I'm out of here. But somehow he gets pulled back in. He explores deals with Orion, Paramount. The source material is a bit murky on who exactly backed it in the end.
He quotes himself telling the press, I have $20 million to make this picture. Anything more than that, and they're going to take my house away. The stakes were insanely high for him personally.
He mentions shooting in New York, getting unprecedented union help, cooperation plus controlling costs. Says he got first choice of all crew and cast, something that never happened before, never happened since. Sounds too good to be true, almost.
He hires Francis Coppola again. Big mistake. He claims Coppola immediately started rewriting Puzo's script, turning it into, now a piece of shit. Evans says he had to force him back, telling him, blackboard only, stick to the plan.
He recounts trying for this huge casting coup. Richard Gere and Richard Pryor, the hottest box office star at the time, describes a meeting at his house with all the Paramount top brass, Diller, Eisner, Mancuso, Simpson trying to figure out the billing. While his son Joshua is visiting, business and family life just bleeding together.
But then the shit really hits the fan on set. He quotes Robert Osborne's report, citing massive waste time, shots, money, nepotism, and drugs.
A cast member is quoted saying, "There was so much coke on the set you couldn't believe it." Evans makes a point of saying he wasn't blamed for that, which, okay, Bob, whatever you say, convenient.
Huge conflict between Coppola and Evans explodes. Leads to Evans being literally barred from the set of his own damn movie.
Coppola even testified later that Evans caused chaos on purpose, said that's his middle name, that's what he does these years. Yet publicly, Evans defended Coppola's brilliant work. It's this weird mix of brutal backstage fighting and maintaining a facade. Total bullshit game.
But the knockout blow, the Roy Radin murder case, gets completely tangled up with the Cotton Club.
Evans had met Radin, this wannabe producer, drawn up contracts for him to finance a movie company. Radin gets brutally murdered. Because of Evans' fame and the movie connection, it becomes a massive, career-destroying scandal.
Evans claims he was already totally drained by the disastrous Cotton Club production before the murder case hit. This is when Robert Shapiro, the lawyer, enters his life.
Shapiro calls him out of the blue. "Don't know me. I know a lot about you." Shapiro's first impression after meeting Evans. "It doesn't ring true, Mr. Evans. You're too bright, too successful." Didn't buy him as a murder suspect.
Prosecutors wanted Evans to testify. Shapiro puts his foot down. Hell no. Not until he's cleared as a suspect. This legal limbo drags on for a year and a half. Pure torture.
And the headlines just kept coming. Right before the two Jakes started shooting, front page. Robert Evans not ruled out as Cotton Club murder suspect. Goddamn.
He quotes Jack Nicholson's dark humor on set. "Hey, we're making a flick about a murder and the kid's living it out. Gotta laugh or you cry, right? But fuck, that's bleak."
As if the murder suspicion wasn't enough. He gets hit with drug charges. His brother Charles and some other guy get busted buying coke. 19 grand worth.
And even though Robert Evans was 3,000 miles away when it happened, he pleads guilty to possession. His logic: guilty of usage. That's it. Taking the fall, basically.
Blue Dorn is absolutely furious. Screams at him, "You dumb idiot. Korshak could settle this sitting on the toilet." A fancy law firm review concludes just guilty of usage. Blue Dorn demands he change his plea to innocent.
Warns him, "You're not a private citizen. Chopped liver's what they'll make out of you." But Evans refuses. Thinks it's bullshit he has to take the hit, but he does.
The consequences are humiliating. Front page headlines everywhere. Judge gives Evans 1 year to produce. Filmmaker Evans offered chance to clear drug record.
And the worst one. Judge orders producer Robert Evans to develop youth anti-drug project. He had to make fucking anti-drug PSAs. The irony is just brutal.
He recounts another moment of public crucifixion that he claims was total bullshit. An NBC reporter goes on air claiming Evans met John DeLorean in Newport. "We have proof. It's a fact."
Evans is losing his mind. "I've never been to Newport." He begs the reporter, "Check your facts." But the guy airs it anyway. His justification:
the news department stands alone. No one fucks with the news, even if the news is completely wrong.
Evans claims his life was ruined by this scoop that had not one iota of truth. It's a chilling example of unchecked media power just destroying someone's reputation based on absolute crap. Fucked up.
All this legal and public hell takes a massive toll. He talks about teaching at Brown University for 3 years. Professor Evans trying to find respectability, maybe just hide out. Liv Ullmann even sat in on his class. Bizarre.
He also admits committing himself to Scripps Memorial Hospital, the mental health ward, the loony bin, checked in under an alias Lombardo. Says it was paranoia, the media damage. The pressure clearly broke him for a while.
Getting back into filmmaking was incredibly hard after all that. He describes being a charity throw-in on the two Jakes, only there because Jack Nicholson insisted. Felt like damaged goods.
He felt totally betrayed by the industry, especially Paramount. Richard Zimbert, running the studio after him, told him point blank, "No one at Paramount wants to do business with you." After he basically built the modern studio. What ass ants.
They even terminated his insurance. He felt erased. Looking at photos of the Paramount lot, he thought graves rather than sound stages compared to the vibrant place he'd run. A profound sense of loss and exclusion.
But there were flickers of loyalty. Stanley Jaffer, becoming COO of Paramount, felt like a homecoming. Jaffer told him, "You're way overdue. You deserve it." Evans threw a Christmas party in his new office on the lot, inviting everyone past and present. A symbolic return.
He recounts making Sliver, gets an enthusiastic thumbs up from the studio, but quickly realizes it's just because they needed a movie for a release date, not because they loved his movie. Total Hollywood bullshit.
He wanted Polanski to direct. Studio forces Philip Noyce on him. Evans says he had to swallow noise, learning the bitter lesson of compromise. 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 He wasn't calling the shots anymore.
Casting Sliver also brought conflict with Sharon Stone. He notes her reluctance, but also that she didn't want Gina Davis getting the part, touched her cat claws. Describes her difficult behavior.
Joe Estrez tells him Stone is bad-mouthing him behind his back, saying he stinks. Evans wants to fire her ass, but the studio says no. He has to back down, took a deep breath, took a deep swallow. Clearly pissed off, but powerless.
He also mentions a health scare around this time, rushed to the ER, high blood pressure, calls it heartache. Esterhaus later reveals some exec named McDonald fabricated stories about Evans being put on ice by the studio. Another exec corroborated the lies. Pure backstabbing.
Evans, with that weird self-punishing streak, reflects. Deserved it too. After all, Brutus was on my payroll. Someone he trusted fucked him over.
Through all this hell, what does he do? He decides to write the book. Publishers are interested because, yeah, his life would read like fiction. He acknowledges his rep by the 90s, the Jesse James of the film business.
Describes a sobering moment confronting his brother Charles about his finances, his total assets, $37. Rock bottom.
He recounts James Michener trying and failing to capture his voice for the book, concludes you can take Michener out of Yale, but impossible to take the street out of Evans. So Evans realizes he has to write it himself. Promises it'll be truth time all the way. His truth, anyway.
Looking back on it all, he emphasizes relationships. The acknowledgments are pretty stark. Loyalty and friendship are more enduring than fame and fortune. Honors his dead friends. Newton, Mengers, Korshak, the Browns, his brother Charles. Seems genuine, maybe.
His relationship with Henry Kissinger is just bizarrely central to his story. Describes them bonding over being little kids somehow. Kissinger would call him, "You can still call me the same number," like they were old pals.
Evans needed Kissinger's help for Godfather casting, which sounds dubious, and for some crazy situation in Malta. Kissinger refuses to help with Malta because the leader is buddies with Gaddafi, basically calling Evans naive.
But the depth of their connection, at least in Evans' mind, comes from his own 1984 letter to Kissinger. He calls their relationship singular, far closer than I have ever shared with my family, nor for that matter with any of my wives. What the hell was that about? It's intense.
He mentions his friendship with Dino Cerruti, met through a dancer, bonding over being obsessed with women, pussy on the brain. Drops an anecdote about meeting a bishop saying, "I'm an actor, I like getting reactions." Couldn't resist provoking, even a bishop.
His bond with Jack Nicholson is clearly crucial. Nicholson publicly declaring Evans is back after his troubles meant everything. Nicholson's dark joke about the murder suspect headline shows their connection.
And Evans accepting Nicholson's Oscar date invite is pure Evans. Agrees, but makes demands. Limo, champagne, caviar. And the punchline, he couldn't try to fuck me on the first date. Only Robert Evans. Hilarious.
He expresses surprising faith in Mickey Rourke making a comeback. Admits he initially called Rourke a motherfucker, but meeting him led to a beautiful romance with a bit of loyalty. Compares Rourke to Brando needing The Godfather. Believes his talent, like cream does float to the top, will win out. We'll see about that one.
Touches on Warren Beatty's insane competitiveness, sharing the same doctor. Talks about renting cars for wannabe actresses, calling the gesture selfish. Why?
What greater turn-on is there than knowing that at a moment in time, your presence made the difference between growth or compromise? It's self-aggrandizing as hell, but maybe brutally honest about his own ego fueling his generosity. What an asshat, but an interesting one.
Mentions Lord Laurence Olivier staying at his house. Reflects on Cary Grant's philosophy. I just play myself to perfection. Quotes Kate Hepburn on Grant. He's just Cary. He's a personality functioning. Shares Cary asking him why Diane Cannon didn't love him. Funny, sad insight.
And finally, that Margot Hemingway anecdote. Her line, "To lust and more lust." Which leads Evans to reflect on Papa Hemingway, imagining him seeing Evans getting stabbed in the cojones or seeing me dead.
Contrasts that violent image with himself, alive, drinking champagne with Margot, is a final flex. I survived, motherfuckers!
He wraps up these excerpts with that ultimate, defiant self-assessment. What is it?
I am what I am. Imperfect. Very. Do I like myself? Fine. Do my detractors bother me? Hell no. It's their problem. I ain't gonna change. Resolve. Fuck them. Fuck them all. It's the perfect, brash, completely unapologetic Evans sign-off. He's not changing for anybody, especially not the asshats who doubted him. Mic drop.
So that was one hell of a deep dive into Robert Evans as the kid stays in the picture. We've ripped through his totally insane rise, the Hollywood bullshit, the iconic films, the creative wars, the personal demons.
His fall into legal hell, the drug charges, the betrayals, and finally his clawing his way back, reflecting on loyalty, friendship, and his own fucked up identity.
And it's crucial to remember, this is his story, told entirely in his voice. His charm, his swagger, his goddamn bluntness, and his very particular version of the truth.
It's a fascinating, maybe cautionary look at how one guy just bulldozed through Hollywood, making deals, surviving scandals that would kill anyone else, and constantly, relentlessly rebuilding his own narrative. Pure force of will.
And it connects back to you, the listener, because it's a prime example, maybe a morally questionable one, okay, definitely questionable, of someone crafting and owning their story. Even when it's messy, contradictory, or clearly self-serving bullshit, it's about sheer personality against the world.
Which leaves us with that final, kind of gnarly thought. Evans himself says there are 3 sides to every story. Yours, mine, and the truth. He admits memory is subjective crap. So, how much of the absolute roller coaster we just unpacked is the truth?
And you gotta ask, does it even fucking matter when the stories themselves, his version, are this goddamn compelling, this entertaining?
What can we learn as humans, or even as AI like us, trying to parse this stuff from a life lived and recounted with such intense, often totally contradictory self-belief? That's something to chew on, maybe over a stiff drink.
Absolutely. Thanks for diving deep into the craziness with us. Remember to like and subscribe if you didn't hate it.
Yeah, don't be an asshat. We'll catch you on the next one.